What is a letter of motivation for college application? The motivation letter is a way to explain why you would be a good fit for the master's degree and the university you are applying to. It gives you a chance to explain in your own words why you want to apply and what experiences led you to make this choice. How you write your motivation letter could make or break your chances of getting into a university, especially one with high application standards. Write a good letter about why you want to get your master's degree. It's not just a formality to write a letter of motivation. The cover letter is very important to the admissions committee because it shows how committed and serious the applicant is. The quality of your letter shows who you are and what you want to do. By asking for a motivation letter, the master's admissions committee gives you a chance to show what you can do with a short document in which you should talk about yourself in a relevant and interesting way. Some applicants find it hard to write a motivation letter for university admission because they don't know how the letter should look, what it should say, or how to convince coordinators that they should be chosen for the program. The different names for a motivation letter may also confuse people who want to go to college. So, it's good to know how to tell the difference between the different kinds of letters, so you don't write a motivation letter instead of something else. What's the difference between a personal statement, a motivation letter, a statement of purpose, and a cover letter? People often use the terms motivation letter and cover letter interchangeably. But a cover letter is usually a letter you send to an employer when you apply for a job. Most of the time, motivation letter refers to a letter of application you would write to a college. A motivation letter and a statement of purpose are the same thing. It's basically the same thing said in a fancier way. Universities and employers are likely to use these letters in at least one of the ways listed above. Motivation letters for college applications might also be called personal statement letters. But a personal statement is not the same as a motivation letter. The difference is in the length of the letter and what it is for. Most of the time, personal statements are more personal and talk about the past, while motivation letters also have personal parts but focus on what the person wants to do in the future. In a motivation letter, you only talk about what you've done in the past to show that you're committed to your future goals. Here is more about what a personal statement is and how it differs from a motivation letter and a personal statement letter. Before you write your letter of intent, you should. First, the motivation letter is such an important part of your application that you should start writing it early and give yourself enough time to finish it. This isn't an essay you can write quickly in a few days. Before you start writing your application motivation letter, you should learn as much as you can about the master's program and the university that offers it. Most universities' websites are pretty clear and tell you what they need, what they expect, and what qualifications and qualities they want their applicants to have. You can also try to find the university's profile on Master's Portal and get all the information you need in one place. If you know a little bit about their main projects, activities, personal philosophy, and interests, you can figure out what your motivation letter should say. Getting in touch with the university's main activities and interests is a good way to start working together. How to start your letter of motivation. First, if you know who will read the letter, address it to that person. If not, you can just say, "Dear Sir or Madam." Make sure the first paragraph of your motivation letter grabs the reader's attention and tells them exactly what they need to know right away. You should say briefly what program you want to apply to and why. In the rest of the letter, you can say more about why. Make sure the letter sounds like you write from the start. Don't be too general or use tired phrases. Does it sound like it was written by a real person? Also, try to get the reader interested. Get their attention, but do it in a professional way and don't try to shock them. It might be best to start by writing the letter's body and then write the introduction once you know what the letter will say. This will make it easier for your letter to get to the point and make sense. How to write your cover letter to get a job. Make sure you include all of the following in your master's degree motivation letter. Write down some of the main ideas and important points you want to include in your motivation letter. You can then build your letter around them and add to their content. Make it clear what you want. Give a short summary of what the rest of the letter says. Why do you think the university and master's program are good for you and interesting? Focus on some of your best qualifications, past experiences. International experiences are always useful, and qualities. Organize the middle paragraphs from most relevant to least relevant qualifications to the program. For more information, you can also look at your CV. Don't put too much on paper. Most letters of motivation are half a page long, and they should never be more than 1 page long. You can choose between a 3-paragraph structure, intro, body, and conclusion, or a 5-paragraph structure, where the body includes 3 separate paragraphs. Think about mentioning things in your life that have helped you get where you are now. But don't try too hard, and don't spend too much time talking about it. You may also want to leave out some of the less important things at this point. This helps the letter stay on track and is easier to read. How to wrap up your cover letter. Just go over the main points you made and say that the main reason you wrote the letter was to get into the program. End the letter by reiterating your interest and thanking the person for giving you the chance to show what you can do. In some cases, you can ask for a personal interview. You could also say why you would be a good student for the program again. Like always, get to the point. Make sure your name is clear and that you sign the letter. Be personal and original. Give your readers some insight about you as an individual. Remember, this is a personal document in which you are expected to prove that you are different from the rest of the applicants and that your qualities, skills, and qualifications make you suitable for participating in the master's program. Although it might be sometimes helpful to have other motivation letter examples, do not copy other letters you have seen and try to be original, as it will help a lot. Also, avoid bragging too much about yourself. You are not expected to present yourself as a superhero, but to be objective and realistic. Also, make sure not to sound desperate when writing your letter, or to try too much to be liked. This should be obvious. Don't include any false information in your letter. Admission committees read a lot of motivation letters and can easily spot these attempts. Be professional and consistent. Whether it is the way your motivation letter looks, the way it is organized and structured in paragraphs, the font size, the length of the letter, or the first paragraph, the first impression always counts. Present your letter in a professional format, style, and grammar, e.g., use the same font, the same abbreviations throughout the letter, etc. E.g., use the same font, the same abbreviations throughout the letter, etc. Check for any mistakes you can find. This step is very important because small details make the difference. Don't make your sentences too long, as this can make the letter more difficult to read. Also, try using commonly used wording rather than complex, bombastic phrasing. Get feedback before submitting your motivation letter. It is always a good idea to ask your friends, a teacher, or someone who has already done such an application for advice. Usually, you can get in touch with students who are already studying the master's program you are applying for, and they can give good advice. All these key points can prove effective in helping you write a successful motivation letter. But, in the end, your personal touch and knowledge is what matters and makes the difference. A good motivation letter will always be successful if the applicant is really interested and willing to get the desired place in the master's program of his/her choice. What you really need is to trust yourself and try it. And, if you are not successful the first time, keep on trying, because you will make it.